Oh, you got the music to work. That's awesome.
Do finally.
Hello, everybody. This is another edition of Coffee and Pan Dulce. This is our second Wednesday in the month, March
This is
9th.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn, Barbara Bacon, and Mama Ruth. We are Mama Ruthless today, and Barbara Bacon hopefully will be joining us. Today is March the 9th, second Wednesday of March.
Hi, I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, local LGBT advocate, work with Charlotte Pride. The National Organization for Women Charlotte chapter was the first transgender woman to serve on that board.
I am Paulina Testerman. I'm here tonight from Sarasota, Florida. I am a 45-year-old mother of two kids, and a wife to a great husband. And I got recently involved in some education activism and got lassoed in to become a co-founder of an organization called Support Our Schools. And we are certainly in our infancy, but we are rocking and rolling with the punches, certainly. And we are recognizing that there was a huge need for this sort of activism.
My name is Wynn. I am a 40-year-old mother to a darling little girl, two dogs and a cat. When she says lassoed, I was the cowgirl who was lassoing her in. So to speak. No, we all came together as we were all strangers, all moms, and we were going to school board meetings and witnessing just appalling behavior and outright lies that were being told to the public from community members. And we realized that the issues we had originally started going to the school board to face were much deeper, that we it ended up snowballing into issues where we're trying to save public education kind of as a whole, stop it from being privatized. There's just
the last time we aired, the State of the Union actually occurred, and there were some hecklers. And if anybody wants to comment on those hecklers in 30 seconds
they made
or less.
Some of the most delicious memes I've ever seen in my life. Like between the two girls, one cup versus, references and the other outlandish memes that they made, the blow up doll one, and so on and so forth. I was looking about it because, one, I do feel bad for blow up dolls all over the world because blow up dolls have way more of a use than Bomber or MTG.
I hate to admit this. We are so busy drinking out of the water hose right now that we are so inundated with education that I have not watched TV, and I know the State of the Union was on. Pretty much the extent of what we get to hear is always education driven. And so unless it's on in the background while I'm doing 16 other things at once, I don't even have the time to even listen to it. And so I feel awful.
No, I'm passing the buck. We've been really focused on the different House bills here in our lovely sunshiny state.
Anyone who is from Charlotte, North Carolina, is probably no different anywhere else. This has been, our school board has been bombarded with these. They have these T-shirts. I forgot the name of the organization. Something for
Moms for Liberty.
Yeah, Moms for Liberty. That's right. And they're just we call them on this show the "You're not the boss of me" people. That you're not the boss of me. I don't want to wear a mask.
I'll kind of get the ball rolling. I'll start with how we got to where we are. Back, I think you mentioned the mask debate, when these parents, they have their shirts out, we don't co-parent with the government. They were really upset that there were places that were mandating masks. Sarasota County was one of very few counties in Florida back in August where our school board went against the governor's orders and mandated masks. So for all intents and purposes, they say that our school board went against the law and broke the law. But the school board is designed, and they have a duty to protect their students and their teachers in our community. We start peeling back the layers like an onion, and we realize, oh my gosh, this isn't just about masks. This is something that we don't have a choice. We can't not speak up anymore. We owe it to our children. We owe it to our community that we have to speak up, or else I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't.
This is why I was so excited to have you on. Is you have a group of very vocal angry individuals, at least in here, and I don't know how it is around the country, that are trying to override the professionals, the experts in education who we hire to do this, who've gone to school, gotten their PhDs and all this kind of stuff. And there are these individuals that suddenly believe they are qualified to create the curriculum. It's like the dumbing down of America. And the reason this is important is because the majority of your big school districts are now majority minority school districts. And most of these individuals seem to be white moms and parents who are trying to make decisions, are trying to push decisions for young parents who happen to be of color. And that really concerns me, because these are the same individuals that have been preaching homeschool. If you don't like the school, do homeschool, go to your charter school. Now what they're saying is, I want my homeschool, I want my charter school, I want my private religious school, but now I want my public school to be on demand on how I want it to be. So that's why this is so important.
I think you hit the nail on the head. You said, you made a comment, you said, the professionals aren't,
Yep.
We don't have professionals anymore. Nobody trusts professionals. If you're a doctor, we can't trust you. If you're a teacher, we can't trust you. It's all, I am in shock that everyone is now considered an expert because they have access to a computer and they can watch YouTube and they consider themselves to be experts in their fields. And so these parents, however well-intentioned, are now wanting to discuss curriculums because they think that their little Johnny deserves to hear their version of history. And, how are these people coming to a conversation and demanding that their voice be heard? Sure, give us your input, but you're not going to define what my child learns simply because you're speaking the loudest, or you're the most aggressive, or you are threatening people. That's not how this works. We have experts in their fields. We have expert teachers. We have people who write curriculums, who help, who have PhDs in education. And I'm certainly not pushing my narrative because I don't have a PhD in education. Sure. I work in healthcare. That is where I'm most comfortable in. And so I think it's almost laughable to see these parents pound their fists and demand that their voice be heard. But who are you? What do you have to contribute to this dialogue if you are not an expert in your field? And I think it's a scary time to be living in America where we no longer trust experts in their field. Super easy. I mean, it just comes down to racism, and whether that's overt or covert, and what people understand of that is such an integral part of this formula to understand. Why are you so scared? And I think it's scary to consider yourself. I think white folks have been the majority for so long, and now there are moments where they may not be the majority for much longer, and I think that's really scary.
4 more years.
Yes.
We're not counting.
No, yeah, right. I think that's really scary for them, and I mean. And it's ironic because they say that there's no differences in the way people are treated, and yet I'm really scared it might happen to me. So, I mean, you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. They have to say that it's true. People are not treated the same or equally. And at the same time, they have to anticipate that they're going to be a minority sooner or later.
I
love the fact they talk about them like I'm not white, but okay.
I mean, there's white, there's white.
I think the majority of my understanding of oppression in general is the fact that I'm an immigrant. I think being an immigrant is a huge part of recognizing what the word privilege is, and knowing that my family didn't have language privilege, for example. We had to learn how to speak English, and English was my second language. And so I had to learn that. And I think that's an integral part of understanding it. So it doesn't just come down to black and white. It just has to do with oppression in general. If you can understand somebody else's oppression because you experience it, it makes it more palpable for you to understand it.
It just seems like the Republicans are pushing for such a low standard, such a weird cockamamie dystopian standard.
It's the dumbing down of America.
is that we're all going to be like Trump Jr. in idiocracy and doing rails of cocaine, at the conventions and stuff. But anyway.
And I think, we started out planning to just, work in Sarasota. That was our only goal. And we were going to help our local community. And once we started the ball rolling, we have had nonstop emails and contacts. Please, how do we start a chapter in our city, in our town, in our state? What are you doing? How can we do what you're doing? Do you have resources? Can you tell us what infrastructure you're using? And so that's why we said, we're drinking out of a water hose right now. We're trying to create a strong foundation in our own community, but also help others in their communities to make sure that they have that infrastructure so they can go with it. And this is, in this situation, I keep likening it to being on the PTO or being on a booster.
Because we as in communities have been pushing, parents need to get involved in your children's education, especially in the Black and brown communities at these schools where maybe the PTOs or PTAs aren't really as strong as maybe some other neighborhoods. Get involved in your kids' educations. A lot of these parents just don't know how to get involved, whether they're a first or second generation American. They don't understand the importance of getting involved. And so, but it seems like this group over the last 3 years, not y'all, but the loud, you're not the boss of me groups, they have taken that to the extreme. What they have gone beyond involved. Like in our little community in South Charlotte, our neighborhood, we do fundraisers for the school, we clean up, we do everything we can, but we don't go in there and tell the principal how to run the school. Parental involvement. And so it seems like this group has taken it to an extreme. And I'm so proud of y'all and other parents who are starting to stand up and say, hey, listen, not everyone believes that, because there are a lot of really working class parents who need voices like y'all to speak on their behalf, or as we say, the voices who can only whisper. A lot of them are Black and brown voices who don't have, they don't feel empowered to do things. And so I appreciate what y'all are doing, because you're speaking on behalf of so many other parents who don't have that ability. Jenny, so,
well, you know what? It's funny that sorry to interrupt. That's kind of why we are part of the reason how we started is we kept looking around wondering, okay, well, we see all of these issues happening. So who's gonna speak up for us? Who's gonna step up to the plate and do something? And we just kept looking around, and all of a sudden we realized, oops, we're the ones. We're it. And just like you said, we have to be able to amplify our voices so that they can resonate to lift up other people's voices. We want to create an echo chamber, if you will. So those soft voices are amplified.
There's a difference between storming the Capitol and trying to cause a civil war on January 6th and going out and organizing and voting and bringing water to people standing in line in hot Atlanta for eight hours or more. I think you guys are the people helping people vote and not have a heat stroke while voting. And the hillbillies that are going to these meetings that are just
they're not all hillbillies.
Meeting on hardwood.
No, they are. They really are. Down
okay, well,
or they're white trash. One or the other. Just
Jenny.
by a different name. Just kidding. Get to know y'all.
Our website, supportourschools.com, and we do have, we have the Take Our Pledge button, but we also, and that gives you kind of, it's 4 main points of take the pledge to stand up for public schools, take the pledge to fight hatred, and take the pledge for equitable and equality in schools, truth in teaching. But we also have a contact us button. And if you just fill that out, it'll go right to our submission email, and we will be able to contact you and email you. And we have a media inquiry button as well. It kind of gives you also a breakdown of a little bit more about what our mission is, what our goals are, what we've done so far. And then we will be, posting there regularly and kind of keeping everybody up to date on.
These students don't realize it, and these parents don't understand what they are supporting. And that is, such an important part of what we want to do. We want to educate parents so that they understand the difference between a traditional public school and a charter school. I always say different is not the same. Okay. If it's different, it is not the same. And so when you say all charter schools are public schools, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Question things, do your homework. If you have questions, let us know. We'll answer them for you.
Mm-hmm. Or we'll find somebody who can.
It's substandard.
Yep. Which is what they're saying, right? I mean,
is what they're saying. Their argument.
Yep.
Then why would you build another extra ancillary system?
Thank you.
Exactly.
Privatize that if the original pattern, like if you're making dresses, for example, and the dresses come out cockeyed, wouldn't you just fix the pattern first before you make a new line of dresses?
Yes,
because what it crap in is crap out on a manufacturing line. And if you're manufacturing schools, you would have perfected public schools first. I don't
understand. I know we're actually only got 2 minutes left, but what Jenny and I talk about all the time, like in a state like Texas, I don't understand Florida. The Republicans have dominated that state for 20, 30 years. So if you're mad, be mad at the people that governed and did it. So if you're upset at schools, if you think our schools are doing terrible, they're the ones who were in charge. So in the business world, I'm going to be mad at the person who made those decisions. So maybe it's time to get rid of them and let's try the way it was before. So I don't understand. And so it's what frustrates me about Democrats, and I know Jenny and I have talked about this, a lot of them are going to start running. There we go. That's Tejano music, in case you don't know what that is. Bye, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in. You're what makes our show special. We had over 250,000 views last year, and we are growing. And it's all because of y'all and your involvement with our show. And thanks for joining the family. We'll see you soon.
And you can see me dance. Bye, y'all.
Yeah.